that person or it's nothing. It's not going to work. Okay, that's it. But yeah, it hurt me. It hurt my marriage because I was out of touch. I never got it together. I never figured out the value, the sacredness of the relationship. It's a very godly thing, understanding that God is made in the image and likeness of man, of us, humans, male and female. And the woman is a sacred creature. And I believe that more and more and more. And that, my views about how to treat a woman, how to think about a woman, how to speak about a woman have changed and transformed. I mean, I always had a great deal of respect for them and love them. But it's just, you grow. You get better. That's why I say you are like wine. If you're on the right path, you're going to go through detours and obstacles and difficulties of every type, unpleasantries of every type, grief, everybody gets trauma, all that crap. But, if you're on the right road, I mean, it's going to get rocky. But you know what? You can know that if you've devoted your life to God and to man by extension, then you're on the right path. Every day you reaffirm that. Prayer and meditation, just say, God, please, you pour your heart out. Sometimes people can't hear it. I mean, it might sound too weird, but it's in you. It's there. You've got issues. We can all feel great joy, but we can all feel great shame. Okay? We can all be narcissistic and egoistic and vain and conceited. All this stuff that is absolutely unprofitable, to no avail. But yet, at the time when we're engaged in it, we are sick and twisted, delusional, and believing semi-consciously, subliminally. We're just not attached to reality, okay? We're not fully in our right mind. But then when we are, we go, oh my God, we see the contrast. We say, wow, the person I used to be is gone. It died. But at the time, I thought it was integral and a part of me. But it's gone. You see, the antidote to narcissism is humility and realizing that you don't want to be better than anybody else. You just want to be great like everybody else. You want to be equal. That's the best you could ever be because God loves you equally. He loves the stinkers, so he loves you if you feel like you're a stinker sometimes. We all know what that's like. We all feel 2 inches tall sometimes. We all feel like we're not lovable at times, but we've got to take a break and understand that God still loves us. He sees what we don't. He sees the person we want to be, but we feel unable to be. We feel trapped. We feel like we can't be that person because of the sick, twisted world we live in, which is inundated with madness. Why? Because the evil men at the uppermost echelons of power in this world don't want you to figure it out. They don't want you, metaphorically, figuratively, coming out of Babylon, which is out of confusion, and to really be strong in the truth, to know right from wrong and understand the game plan of the evildoers, that they want us divided. They want us weak. They want us worn down. They want us pliable, malleable to their whims, whatever that may be. If it's, you name it. I mean, you take this vaccination issue, which is so apropos to our time, cutting edge time in history for humanity. And it just makes me crazy. Okay, because, it's science and it's inarguable. It's just a scientific fact. And if you ever try to argue with that, you're a nut and you can't work here anymore. You understand? If you don't have the card, it's like a branch of the Nazism. It's so anti-American. Don't get me started. So unconstitutional, so ungodly. Don't get me started. Science, I mean, if we're going to go there, then let's discuss the 18th century science. What was a consensus back then that the earth had long reached its carrying capacity. So depopulate any country that went to a one-child program or no children for a while program, they were doing the right thing. I mean, this was for the greater good. We're the self-appointed gods of the earth. We got to save the planet. So now they got to save people. In the face of this other conflicting science, it says, no, we got to cut the Earth's population because we're way past carrying capacity at close to 8 billion people now. You get it? You see the madness? How is it that any of us are not completely freaked out, okay, insane a little bit? So if your behavior, you see, why do we go into all these vices and forms of escapism? I don't know anybody that doesn't have issues. They want to pretend like they don't have issues. They can act spuriously and, really fool the public, but they know they've got their darkness that they're dealing with. And they think it's all them. They've got in these 12-step programs, what they refer to as terminal uniqueness, where we think somehow we're so different from other men or other women. Because I say that because our brains work differently. So there are nuances to the male and female of the species. There just are. Men have distinct issues that women say, oh, that's disgusting. Oh, my gosh, he's looking at that young woman lustfully. What is he, a pedophile? For God's sake, what's right, what's wrong? Are not the laws of men arbitrary, largely? We decide, well, you're no longer a minor at 18, and then later they'll change it. Well, now you can't buy alcohol till you're 21, but you could go fight and die in wars. That's fine, but don't have a beer. But we all know they're all doing it. And we all know that, teenagers are all having sex with each other. But if you're of a certain age and you have sex with oh my God, it's the end of the world, right? You're going to jail. And I get it. Jail bait. We've all heard that term. So, you're not going to find me doing that. But there are a lot of guys that like young women. It's just a fact. And, for women, what is their downfall? What do women have an issue with? Well, they maybe get a hair up their behind about their husband, which is easy to do. Every man is fallible. He's going to let his wife, his beloved, down, even though he's 100% devoted to her. He's going to do stupid things. It's just the nature of a man. It's our sinful nature. We're dumbasses. I'm sorry, ladies, but I've never known a guy that couldn't at times be a dumbass. All right? But then they go out there and they say, well, you know what? They know there is a lot of guys out there waiting in line to hit on your woman. Guys, you know that. You say, well, I would never do that. I wouldn't mess with another guy's girlfriend, much less his wife. That's no way, dude. I'm not, I know what I can live with and what I can't. I can see the end from the beginning. I know the teachings of Solomon on this issue. No way am I touching a married woman. But she comes on to you, they could be, well, we know how seductive a woman can be, guys, right? If you're just a typical guy, powerfully, unbelievably seductive, okay? And they've got that thing. They've got whatever that is, that chemical thing. It's very, very tangible, real, potent. And it can happen. Okay, so even a guy that door is just cracked open a little to a married woman, saying, well, look, the guy couldn't please her. Let me see if I could please her. And so she sleeps around. And she keeps it, from her husband. She's not going to tell. What good would that do, right? To what avail is that? She just, keeps her little guilt feelings into herself, goes in her little dark place, maybe half-assedly confesses to God. But look, we both have our issues, men and women. So relationships are difficult. Human relations are the most difficult thing we can ever deal with, and that includes ourselves. And we got to get out of this idea that we're terminally unique and understand, no, it's your very human nature. It's your sinful nature. It comes from the original sin, the fall of man, and the subsequent damage thereof. We should not even know when we're naked or not. Talk about a departure from the status quo, the way it is. The state of affairs on earth, the paradigm, the reality. Now it's like, it's obscene, indecent exposure. You're naked. Oh my God, heavens to Betsy, we're all born naked. No other creature has issues about it. They're all oblivious. But we got all these hang-ups about nudity, nakedness. I do. I'm the first guy to admit it. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a prude. Sometimes I don't. That commercial for Mounds and Almond Joy comes to mind, right? But listen, I mean, I'm no different. We've got a hell of a lot more in common than out of common. But the evil men at the top, they would inject this idea that no, you've got way too many petty local differences, grassroots differences that you can never unify. It's overwhelming. Just give up. No, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're a conservative, you're a liberal, you're a socialist, you're a conservative. You'll never get along with each other. You can't even get along in nations, much less internationally. So, you know what? Forget it. Just, stick to your little game plan that eventually my guys, my Democrats, when they get in office long enough, we're going to get our way and we're going to put to rest everything this other side had to say. Because we disagree, because they're bad, we're good. We're blue, they're red. They're red, we're blue, whatever. And vice versa. You understand the madness, how they play this game? But I'll tell you straight up, I've known very fine Democrats. No hesitation. I proclaim that, exclaim that very confidently. And the same holds true for Republicans. You understand? So I know, as a matter of fact, this is bull. This is a plan. This is what they have injected our society with, division. And this economic division, social economic division, what they've done. And it looks virtually hopeless and irreparable. I look at the damage now, this wealth imbalance in America. It's so disgusting what they've done to us. It's horrific. And I look at the Federal Labor Department, who was supposed to look after the interests of minimum wage workers, who could have prevented this wealth imbalance. And now, I'm not saying that minimum wage should be $50 an hour today, just to be equivalent to $1 an hour buying power in the early 60s. No, I'm saying it could be 50 cents an hour. So let's be very clear about this. If we had this much progress, but all we've had is regress, massive amounts of regress. This is according to true capitalism, which intimately involves supply and demand principles and progress and understanding the industrial age and how we find easier and easier methods to produce all the things we want and need and how we end up with a superfluity. And of course, you can just look prima facie, a little kid gets it. Well, according to law of supply and demand, now, honey, I've explained this to you. What should happen to the price of stuff when there's an excess amount of it? So demand goes down because everybody's already got this or that or the next thing. And we just keep on producing more and more and more of our wants and needs. Your money goes up in worth, friends. So yes, wages could go down. But it would have been a point of conversation for the Federal Labor Department to come out every year. It would be 100% wholly justified and 100% unjustified to not do it and explain to the public why we're lowering the federal minimum wage. The cost of living went down. Who are the players? It's any group that have an interest one way or the other, okay? And if you're not playing by ethical rules, moral rules, godly rules, then you're cheating. Okay, and that's the slaver class. That's how they cheat. They collude. So you can't have a monopoly anymore. It's not like one guy could buy up the world. No, now they work in groups that have a common interest, right? So if it's high housing costs benefit me because I am a real estate agent, or I am a landlord, I'm a property manager, I'm a speculator, I'm a flipper, I'm an investor, I'm a lender. You understand? All those groups of people have a common interest in raising your housing cost. And the innocent little homeowner just sits back and says, I don't care if it's an unearned increment. It's going in my pocket as equity. My house went up in worth. I'm getting rich. So keep it going. Keep this trajectory going. You understand how this happens? If we don't have checks and balances, if we don't have accountability, when the Federal Labor Department, in looking after the interests of the federal minimum wage worker, comes out and says, I'm sorry, friends, but these people in this group, that they're colluding and conspiring, they're manipulating markets, they're setting, they're rigging, they're fixing prices, and they're to blame for why we got to raise minimum wage from $1 to $1.50 an hour. That's a 50% increase. Oh my God, the employers, the bosses, and the masters out there would rise up and object and say, no. We're not going to let you do that. Isn't that what should happen? That's the checks and balances. That's the accountability. That's the conversation. That's the rubber meeting the road. That's the discussion that would be had at those press conferences with the Federal Labor Department, looking after the interests of the regular common man. You see, the entire society becomes elitist. And you got this army, this multitude of mindless mini minions, elitists out there. And hence, this is the crap hole that's been created. Friends, listen, I'm on everybody's side. We've been dragged down this demonic rabbit hole toward hell a long way, and they've got you to believe that high housing